Hello everyone, I'm Brian Monahan, Superintendent of Minisink Valley. I want to take a moment to say thank you for meeting with us in this fashion. We are glad to have the opportunity to take the questions you provided us and use them as a framework to provide some additional information and answers to you regarding our reopening plans. Please be sure to read our reopening plan on our website, www.minisink.com, as it provides a tremendous amount of information. We are looking forward to welcoming our students back to Minisink Valley. We recognize that nothing could have prepared us for this current situation and the abrupt way we ended our in-person instruction in March. We have been working what almost seems to be a non-stop pace since remote instruction ended in June to plan for September's reopening. I know the start of the school year is completely different than any of us have ever expected. We also understand our students, families, and staff are still adjusting to the continued realities of an ongoing pandemic environment as the reopening of schools gets closer. It's important again to stress that every decision we make as part of our fluid planning always puts student and staff health and safety as our first priority and obligation. I want to give special emphasis to this. Just about all of us working at Minisink Valley have school-age children. Many of us live in this community. Many of you know I live in this community. I have 3 sons who attend Minisink Valley schools. As superintendent, I am responsible for this district's overall operations, and I am so proud and honored to work alongside the very talented and creative people who have been working extremely long days and nights for the last 2 months to develop, shape, and reshape our reopening plans. Our reopening plan work is based on limited and changing guidance, and we are committed to the very best we are capable of doing, given the restrictions we must open our buildings under. But we are also doing our work using the lens of being concerned and caring parents. Everything we do is based on maintaining good health and safety of our students. As a father, I am confident in the plans our team continues to refine and finalize. I am equally confident that all of our plans represent our very best efforts to put health and safety first, with a parallel emphasis on student success and achievement. However, I know these plans create unexpected issues that are upsetting to some. We understand that. That's not our intention. But we need you all to realize that for much of this, we have absolutely no choice but to organize our school year the way we have. We must adhere to the rules and regulations placed on us. We need you to understand this, and we will look to be as supportive and as we can to help you as you navigate the issues that may not have needed to be addressed in the past. We are confident this staged transition back into school will work best for our Minisink school community, given the constraints we have. We know not everyone will be happy, but we also believe everyone understands the rationale for our plans. Our sincerest hope is that at some point in the school year, we can all return back to our traditional in-school model where everyone is in our buildings 5 days a week. Right now, that is not possible. We need everyone to remain adaptable and flexible. It's quite probable that our plans will be adjusted on a regular basis. Please bear with us as this situation continues to evolve on a daily basis. All of us at Minisink Valley appreciate your patience and support of our work. Some important reminders that our medical director, Dr. Sarah Little, wants to remind you all. Number 1, make sure your children know the right way to wash their hands. 2, make sure your children know how to properly use hand sanitizer. 3, get your children used to wearing masks now. Masks are required for school. Your child's building will review the mask break policy with you as opening nears. Make sure your children know they must follow all the social distancing requirements. 5, parents must complete a required daily health check. You'll be doing this online through an app and more details will follow. This needs to be done prior to the students arriving at our buildings. And finally, and most importantly, if your child is not feeling well, do not send them to school under any circumstances. The old adage of give them Tylenol and send them on the way does not work. As tough as this may sound, these requirements will safeguard everyone's health. As parents, we are requiring you to ensure these measures are always followed. We have some extremely useful tools to help you with this on our website. Please visit our Social Emotional Learning Resource Hub. You'll find access to the page on our homepage and on every school's homepage. If you look in the lower right-hand portion of the website page, that's where you'll find it. Now let's review the topics of many questions you've asked us to elaborate on. What does the start of the school year look like, and what does a typical day look like as well? The first 4 days of school, September 1st through September 4th, are now conference days. Those conference days are not days of attendance for our students. Again, the first week, September 1st through September 4th, are not days of attendance. They are conference days for our teachers, where we'll be doing a significant amount of professional development and allowing our teachers to start to prepare their lessons for the initial remote learning. September 8th through 18th, that's phase 1 of remote learning for all K-12 students. Teachers will engage students via synchronous and asynchronous remote instruction. Please note, this is because final preparation of buildings to accommodate student and staff attendance will be taking place in tandem with the State Department of Health and the State Education Department. Special education students during phase 1, students will follow their buildings plan for remote instruction. Phase 2, the week of September 21st, phase 2 is grades K through 5. These students return to school using a alternating day model. The district will be preparing a calendar for students to know what days they're supposed to attend. This week will be half days of in-person instruction combined with half days of remote instruction. Phase 2, grades 6 through 12, these students will continue to be fully remote with synchronous instruction. Special education students during phase 2, students in grades K through 5 who receive all of their special education services in a 15-1 special class setting will attend school in person every day for half a day. Students in grades K through 5 who receive consultant teacher support will follow their building schedule for alternate days as well, and they will be half days. Students in grades 6 through 12 will continue to be fully remote with synchronous instruction. Phase 3, the week of September 28th. Students will continue on an alternating schedule basis, and again, as we said before, we are going to prepare a calendar for students to know when they're supposed to be in session. These days will be full day live instruction. Phase 3, grades 6 through 12, students will continue to be fully remote with synchronous instruction. Our special education students during phase 3, those students in grades K through 5 who receive their special education support in a 15-1 special class will attend school in person every day for a full day. Students in grades K-5 who receive consultant teacher support will follow their building schedules for the alternating days, for full days. Students in grades 6 through 12 will continue to be fully remote with synchronous instruction. Finally, phase 4, the week of October 5th. K-12 hybrid model based on an alternating day of attendance for all of our K-12 students. Special education students during phase 4, students in grades K through 5 who receive their special education support in a 15-1 special class setting will attend school in person every day for a full day. Students in grades K-5 who receive a consultant teacher support will follow their building schedule for the alternating days. Students in grades 6 through 12 will follow an alternating schedule as well. Students in grades 9 through 12 who attend the Career Achievement Program will attend school on a daily basis. Related services will be provided both synchronously and asynchronously during all 4 phases. Menacing Valley will also incorporate a planned flex day on Wednesdays. That flex day will start on September 16th and we will reevaluate again on October 21st. The flex day will require students to connect with their teachers in the morning and have the opportunity to catch up on their work, also work with the teachers on needed information to help them with their lessons. The afternoons will be dedicated towards professional development for our teachers, and when our students are back in the building, The Wednesdays will be used for a deep cleaning of the building during the middle of the week. Thank you. Our next topic is transportation. The first question is there bus transportation this year? The answer is yes, there is bus transportation this year, and we will run our normal schedules. Next, are masks required on buses? Yes, everyone is required to wear a mask on the bus. Students and personnel are required to wear masks. You are required to wear masks in the presence of others. Can bus routes be switched once determined? Once our bus routes are set, if there is a significant situation that occurs, your best course of action is to reach out to our transportation department and have a conversation with either our head bus drivers or with our director of transportation. The next question is, if you switch from the remote model to the hybrid model during the year, will transportation be provided? The answer is yes. The dates of the changes are determined by our school system. We have made it clear that once you choose the remote option, it's for a quarter. And once you're coming back in, you just need to notify the building. And if you're going to be utilizing transportation, reach out to our transportation department and let them know. Next, will seniors be able to drive? The answer is yes. Seniors will be able to drive to school, to and from school. We also had a question about juniors, and I want to make sure I'm clear on this point here. We are also exploring the option of allowing as many of our juniors who are attending CTEC to drive to both the CTEC campus and to the Minnesink campus. This option will not be open to all juniors. Again, this option will not be open to all juniors. It is open, we are exploring the opportunity to open it to our CTEC students only. The next question is, will there be extra bus monitors on board to enforce the mask policy? Whenever possible and according to the availability of staff. We will also be reviewing our cameras and tapes from our buses to see if there are any issues on any of the buses. If there are, we will most likely maneuver some of our staff onto those buses to help correct the issues that we see. The next question is, what happens if you opt out of bus transportation during the year and you change your mind? Can you do this on short notice or for singular times like during bad weather forecasting? Yes, you can, but you would need to notify the transportation department at least the day before. Again, you will be able to do that, but you will need to notify the transportation department. That is up to you to make that call to the transportation department. Will bus transportation to daycare locations? Yes, we will transport to daycare locations as long as a new request form is filled out and turned into the transportation department. The next question is, what is the social distancing plan on the buses? We are going to have one student per seat, except in the situation with family members. Family members will have to sit together. We will also have our transportation department be putting out a best practices document over the next 2 weeks. Some of those best practices will be reminding students that they need to social distance at the bus stop. Students will be loading the bus back to front, and we will be unloading the bus front to back. We will also have building-specific information regarding unloading of buses and loading of buses at each of the facilities. The next question is, are you still transporting to private and parochial schools? The answer is yes. We will start transporting to private and parochial schools on September 1. The next question is, if I'm driving, is drop-off protocol still the same? Each building will communicate drop-off and pick-up procedures in the coming weeks. We are still in the final phases of working through that part of our plan. When will bus route details be available? Drivers and monitors are picking their runs this week. When that process is done, drivers will do a dry run to make sure runs are routed the most efficient way. Parents will then be notified after that process. Out-of-district runs by August 27th, in-district runs by the first week of September. The next question is there temperature screening required before bus boarding? The answer is yes. As I stated in the opening and introduction, it is the responsibility of our parents to do a health check of our children each and every day, and that includes a temperature check, and then report that information to the district in the process that we will communicate to you in the next week to 2 weeks. We are currently looking at an app that will be able to be filled out quickly, and we will have that information in our student information system. But again, it is the responsibility of the parent to perform the health check each and every day. And again, as a reminder to everyone, do not, under any circumstances, send your child to school if they are not feeling well. That is the best way to protect them and the other students and faculty and staff at the school. Finally, what is the bus cleaning and sanitation process? All staff are being trained on how to disinfect the buses before school starts, and our high traffic areas on our buses will be cleaned after every run. Our next section is food service and nutrition. The first question is, will there be meal service for students who are in the remote model? The answer is yes. We will have a grab-and-go meal available for pickup at a location within the district. You will be able to pick up multiple meals for multiple days. Also, please keep on the lookout for a food service survey that will be coming out on Friday. The next question is, will students be allowed to purchase a lunch while at school? The answer is yes. Meals will be available for purchase in school when students are present in the building. We had another question about, will there be school menus? Not initially. Due to the planned consumption of meals in classrooms, the initial menu items will be determined by the food service director in consultation with the district. Cold breakfast and lunch meal items, individually packaged, will be initially provided. All meals will conform to the regulations of the New York State Education Department and the National School Lunch Program. The final question is, where will students be eating their lunch while in school? For the majority of our elementary students to start out with, they will be eating in their classrooms. However, at the middle school and high school, they will be utilizing the cafeteria and the auditorium as well. Our next section is athletics. The first question is, will there be sports this school year? The Minisink Valley Central School District is prepared to field athletic teams this school year. We are currently awaiting approval from Governor Cuomo's office and Section 9 Athletics on when our coaches can begin organized practices with students. The next question is, will sports be pushed from the fall to the winter or spring? Minisink Valley is a member of the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, and once approval is received from our governor's office, we will follow the association's plan for the start of fall sports practices on September 21st. If approval to begin practices is not granted for September, the New York State Public High School Athletic Association has prepared a condensed season plan which moves the start of interscholastic athletics in New York State to January 2021. The condensed season plan includes an abbreviated local competitive schedule that begins with the winter sports season, January through early March, followed by fall sports, March through early May, and spring sports, May through June. This information is on our reopening website when the information came out in July. What will physical education look like in a remote setting? Virtual remote physical education will challenge students with teacher-led assignments that include tracking physical movement and exercise participation, as well as student research and development of games and activities. Next, what will in-person physical education classes look like? In-person physical education classes will include teacher lessons and activities that will safely engage students while permitting social distancing. This will include outdoor instruction whenever possible. The next question is, will you have to wear a mask during physical education class? All students are asked to wear masks during their physical education instruction. PE lessons are developed to best maintain the requirement for social distance between our active students. Next, if you are in remote learning, are you able to participate in sports? The answer is yes. All Minisink Valley Central School District students who fully participate with in-person or virtual remote instruction are permitted to participate in athletics for the 2020-2021 school year. Online registration for fall sports is available via the district website. The Family ID portal is scheduled to open for parent registration of their child on August 21st. The last question is, will there be extracurricular activities for students in each of our buildings? The Minisink Valley School District has a very rich extracurricular program, and it includes a wide variety of student interests. Our principals are currently evaluating all of the programs in their respective buildings in order to endeavor to have a rich extracurricular program available for our students. Our final category is our other section, questions that didn't necessarily fit in any of the categories. So we wanted to have an opportunity to provide answers to those questions. Our first question is, what's the plan for financing COVID-19 related expenses, i.e. PPE, ventilation, etc.? We have incorporated some additional money into our 2020-2021 school budget for COVID-19 related expenses. We are also keeping track of our COVID-19 related expenses, so we have the ability to seek reimbursement from either the federal or the state government. Next, how will Extra Help work this year? Extra Help will be available throughout the year for our students, whether they are in person or remote. Our Flexible Wednesday for the start of the year will help to facilitate this as well. Can you switch from remote to hybrid during the year? You will have the ability to switch from the remote model to the hybrid model during the school year. We have set the requirement for a child to commit to the remote model for the entire quarter prior to switching. If you are in the remote model and want to continue, there is no need to notify your principal. They will only need to know if you are switching models at the end of the quarter. The next question is, will there be a school tax credit since tax money has not been used for utilities, buses? Was there a surplus from last year? We are currently being audited by our external auditor. That audit is not going to be completed until October. We will not have final numbers until that time. We are still awaiting final state aid payments as well from New York State. In addition, going forward for this year, our buildings, whether we are operating in the hybrid model or full model, we are still having students in the building and we are still utilizing our utilities for our buildings to run. We will also be providing transportation to our students for the parochial schools and for our CTEC, and when we are in the hybrid model, providing our regular transportation for our students. So even though we are in a hybrid model with less students in the building, our costs are going to be approximately the same. Next, approximately how many students will be in each class now during the hybrid days? It will vary from building to building and class to class. It can range from anywhere of 10 to 14 students depending upon the class and building. Next, will Club Kid be available before and after school? We have been communicating with the YMCA to have Club Kid back in place for our buildings. We have a commitment from them to operate in our buildings again this year. They have their own set of protocols that they must follow from New York State. Will there be in-person meet and greets for students prior to the start of remote learning? The answer is no. We will not be having students in the buildings prior to the start of the school year for in-person meetings. Our buildings are in the final phases of cleaning, and our teachers will be in the week prior to the start of the school year in small groups to set up their lessons in their rooms. How will lunch work? For the start of the year, our elementary students will most of our elementary students will be eating in their classrooms. However, this will be reevaluated by building administration throughout the year. Our middle school and high school students will be utilizing the cafeteria and auditorium. Next, how does band and chorus work now? Our building administration are still working on this to make sure that the Department of Health guidelines are followed. More information will come about band and chorus. What are parents who work full-time and don't have family to help supposed to do? We understand that there are hardships for our families. There are no perfect solutions to school for this year. We have mandated guidelines regarding the number of students that we are allowed to have in proximity to one another from the New York State Education Department and the New York State Department of Health. Those guidelines we must follow. We cannot deviate from them. This has caused us not to have the ability to have all of our students in the school at the same time. The hybrid model or remote model are the only options we have available to us at this time. What is the mask policy and why? Students and staff are required to wear masks when in the presence of others. We will be enforcing this throughout the day. The reason why it is there, it is the best practices of the Department of Health, and we are going to follow their guidelines. Next, will child care be offered to those parents who need a place for their kids to go when remote learning is in place and parents have to work? The district does not have the ability to offer child care. How do I get my child tested for services? Anytime that you feel your child needs to be evaluated for services, the best place to start is to contact your building administrator, and they will work with you to set up the necessary appointments for having your child evaluated. Also, you can reach out to our Pupil Personnel Services Department, and they will be able to help facilitate this as well. The number there is 355-5105. What are the grading policies for this year? We will be using a traditional grading model in our buildings, not a pass-fail model. For students who receive AIS services, will they be done in the classroom or virtual? Depending upon the building schedule, students can expect to receive AIS services both in person and remotely. Are there going to be school pictures this year? We have not ruled anything out at this time. We will work to have pictures done this year, but we'll need to ensure strict protocols will be followed if they are to go forward. How does remote learning work for siblings? The district is making sure that siblings in the same household, no matter the grade level, will be on the same schedule. When will teacher cohorts be assigned? Buildings are currently finalizing their class list and class sizes, and they will be sent out by the weekend. Is it possible to change to full or remote later in the school year if our life or family circumstances change that would require us to keep our kids home? Answer is, you will have the ability to switch from the hybrid model to the remote model during the school year. We have set the requirement for a child to commit to the remote model for the entire quarter prior to switching back. Once you're in the remote model and want to continue there is no need to notify your principal. They will only need to know if you are switching models at the end of the quarter. Will there be specials? Will students have recess? We will be having specials in recess, but it will look different from last year. We will have to maintain our social distancing and follow all of the New York State Department of Health guidelines while the students are on our campus. How is UPK being handled? We have already conducted our UPK lottery and the lists have been generated. We have just received additional information from the State Education Department regarding UPK. Mr. Beal is working with our local providers to move the program forward. What is the relationship with the teachers union and how are you working together? We have had a very collaborative working relationship with our teachers as we have moved forward through the reopening process, and I would like to thank our Teachers Association for all their assistance and help and guidance. Is there any information on Regents exam as of yet? We have not received any new information regarding Regents exams for January or June of 2021. Once we do, we will share that information with our community. Can students use their lockers this year? Students will not be utilizing their lockers this year. The buildings will be communicating with you that students will be able to use book bags. Will teachers be in the classroom full-time or even if the students aren't? We will be allowing our teachers to work remotely during the first 2 weeks of school, remote learning, so long as they can meet all the instructional needs of our student. If they cannot, they must be in their room. Next, how are children and families with spotty at best internet access going to be able to utilize any of the online learning? If your family is unable to access the internet in your home, please contact the tech support department to determine if the district may be able to support you in obtaining an internet connection. The next question, with delayed opening, will a student be able to still take SUNY Orange biology and meet the lab requirements? If so, how? We are currently working with SUNY Orange to ensure that our students will meet all of the requirements necessary for college credit from the institution. How are 504 plan meetings being scheduled? Parents may request a CSE or 504 meeting by contacting the Office of Pupil Personnel Services at 845-355-5105. I understand that the opening plan is fluid. Why are different time frames for bringing back elementary, middle, and high school? We feel our youngest students will need a greater amount of attention and assistance upon returning. We will be utilizing additional support staff from our middle school and high school to assist with our youngest students for their successful return. It will also provide additional time to prepare our largest buildings for a successful opening. Next, what is the plan for policing the wearing of masks with racially polarizing symbols? Would you consider issuing only allowing masks with a Minisync logo on it? The answer is, we will follow our code of conduct regarding appropriate dress in our buildings. We have also upgraded our code of conduct at our Board of Education meeting of July 30th, 2020, where we added new language to address hate symbols. Again, we will follow our code of conduct. Next, describe the steps you have taken to fortify your remote capabilities and the teacher's skill sets in remote learning, the technology to support it. We have been conducting a significant amount of professional development for our teachers since March. We have moved all of our professional development days to the first week of school to help our teachers with professional development, and it will be ongoing throughout the year. We will also use our flexible Wednesdays for the first month and a half to provide additional support and professional development to our teachers. In addition, we have purchased a number of additional software packages that will help our teachers educate our students better in a remote setting. The last question is, does New York State have an alternative cyber school option that is available to parents as an alternative to the disruptive nature of this school plan and essentially the learning as you go model we are now relying upon as our remote option? New York State does not have any cyber school option available, and we will continue to endeavor to provide the best education possible for our students with the technology and resources that we have. We're very proud of the faculty and staff and the work that they have done since March in working on remote learning, and the work that they have continued to do over this summer, and the work they will continue to do going through this fall. Thank you.